Okay, folks, so I just wanted to show you something that may be just more of my regional interest in here in Utah. But I had a really good response from, and this shows you, I don't have faith in a lot of politicians, but I do believe that there's still a few kind of organizations out there that have our backs as people who believe in the Bill of Rights, the basic concept of Bill of Rights, free speech. Um, and freedom of expression, and I just also freedom of privacy as well, to have privacy and privacy rights as well. And so I wanted to show you something that I had written to our local sheriff here. And I was going to say about organizations, I do believe that the Sheriff's Association of America, whatever they're called, um, I believe a lot of this organization still has our backs because their number one thing is they took an oath to the Constitution, and they seem to be very aware of that. Evidence of this is what the pushback from almost all the sheriffs in Illinois, the great majority of them, on some of the gun control measures that the Illinois governor was trying to push, and the sheriffs as a collective pushed back entirely. They said this is unlawful, and we took an oath to the Constitution. So this may be your dictate to take guns away from people in Illinois, but we will not adhere to this. We will not enforce this policy. So I have to give kudos to the sheriff of Davis County, Kelly Sparks. I just wanted to shout out to him because I had a good interaction with him based on Biden's recent Red Flag Law Center. Okay, and it is called I'm going to highlight my mouse so you can see what I'm talking about. Mouse, here it is. Okay, so we have, there is a new center, and it's being enforced. Apparently, these regulations from this center are being enforced by the Department of Justice at the federal level. There is a newly formed National Extreme Risk Protection Order Resource Center, a federal red flag center, being established without the authorization of Congress by the Biden administration. Okay, so this is the crux of my letter to him, because this was done without approval of Congress. It was unauthorized, and even Representative Thomas Massie spoke about it. I made a video about this too. So I got a suggestion from some of the comments about this article about this newly formed Biden regime center to basically, this is an invasion of privacy laws. It breaks every privacy law. It basically states, and I'll just put this real as simply as I can, it basically states that the DOJ has the right to go to any doctor's office, go into any medical records anywhere, to any lawyer, to any attorney, to any organization. Essentially, it gives them free rein to go in and go, I know these records are protected by HIPAA laws and etc., but we want you to hand over all your records on all your patients, say as a doctor or whatever, and you have to. They don't need a warrant. They don't need anything like this now, supposedly. And so you would just have to hand over en masse. You would just go, I've got 200 patients and here's all their records. Every detail. It breaks every HIPAA law on record, but here, go ahead. And then they can search through that and go, well, if there's any indication according to us, then they can do this subjectively. Remember, they make it very ambiguous. They just go, if we detect that there's any type of mental illness or mental health issues and stuff like that, we can go ahead and go to that person's house and just take their firearms away or whatever. Well, I understand there's concern about mental illness. I think it should be approached a very different way, not that way. I think it should, and I purposely believe that the federal government has left out any funding for mental health because they actually encourage mental illness so that they can be able to enact these unconstitutional policies. Okay, so they can go in and then they can take your firearms away or whatever for any random reason. That's why they leave the specifics very ambiguous. And so anyway, and if you want to look it up, it is called the National Extreme Risk Protection Order Resource Center. Okay. Now, make no doubt, this bureaucratic, banal type of name, this is actually meant to have that type of name so that it makes it sound kind of bureaucratic and a little bit boring. But it actually is a violation of constitutional rights. I mean, to the nth degree. So I wrote a letter and it said, to Sheriff Kelly Sparks, first off, I wanted to show my appreciation for all your efforts in law enforcement for the protection of the citizens of Davis County. You and your deputies have done quite an amazing job keeping our neighborhoods and communities safe, which they have here, for sure. With that, of course, I'm concerned about the Department of Justice establishing the newly formed, as I said, National Extreme Risk Protection Order Resource Center, a federal red flag center being established without the authorization of Congress by the Biden administration. This is a violation of constitutional rights, including both the Second and Fourth Amendments. This is a blatant attempt by the Biden administration, with the help of the DOJ, to unlawfully break privacy regulations and citizens' rights in the name of disarming U.S. citizens, including, without saying, the constituents of Davis County. In regards to our job as private citizens, what protection do we have from the Davis County Sheriff's Office in light of the DOJ calling, contacting, or otherwise violating privacy rights and our right to have firearms? Please advise, as I am looking for any recommendations from the Davis County Sheriff's Office. Here is a link to one particular article for reference. Even Representative Thomas Massie commented, we did not authorize this. And here it is. The reference is Revolver News, which I gave him. And you've seen this probably before if you've seen the previous video. And that's what the article, that's the first thing that comes up for this article. It kind of looks like that. It doesn't matter right now. You can watch the video and I go into more detail. So I got an answer back, which was a really good answer, I thought, to my inquiry. And I just got it today, so I'm pretty happy about this. He said, Mr. Hansen, thank you for your recent email concerning the DOJ's Red Flag Resource Center. I appreciate you reaching out on this matter. Like you, I'm always concerned with any governmental agency or elected official who unilaterally establishes rules or orders that could potentially infringe on God-given rights that are protected by our Constitution. As sheriff, I of course want to help those who may be experiencing emotional or mental health issues and protecting our citizens from any kind of violence that is of paramount importance. And I agree with him on that. Who doesn't? Who doesn't want to protect the community? On the other hand, too, to be able to protect the community as well, I believe that Second Amendment rights need to be upheld, too, because you need to. Part of protecting your community is protecting your life, protecting your family's life as well. So it's I absolutely am with him on that for sure too. But he says, but I believe we can accomplish these things without unduly impinging upon the rights of law-abiding citizens. The Constitution, which I have taken a solemn oath to defend, established a process by which laws that affect our lives and our rights should be established. This Constitution and process also establishes and is intended to maintain a balance of powers between the branches of government. When that process is subverted through executive order or administrative rule in a way that diminishes our rights, we should be concerned. A few years ago, this concern led me to establish a clear policy for our sheriff's office and all sheriff's office employees that helps protect our citizens from this kind of overreach and infringement on the rights of the people. I have attached a copy of the policy here for your review. Thanks for being a good citizen, for educating yourself, and for taking the time to reach out to me on this issue. Sincerely, Kelly Sparks, Davis County Sheriff. So I so appreciate that. So he did attach their Second Amendment policy that the Sheriff's Office has adopted here in Davis County. And it's a bit, it can come across a bit dry, but this is very relevant to, as a good refresher for the Bill of Rights, and that we're confirming with our local officials that we're refreshing this, we're underlining this. Every once in a while, we have to bring this up and go, yes, we need to recommit to these things. We need to reaffirm to the public that we are committed, and we are showing a recommitment again every couple of years. And I like this. So he says the Davis County office affirms the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of Utah as the highest legal authority and the source of all rights and obligations under the law. The Davis County Sheriff's Office opposes all unconstitutional restrictions on any rights secured by the Constitution. All members shall observe and comply with every person's clearly established individual rights under the United States and Utah constitutions. Members shall always strive to, you don't have to read it, I'll just show you, I'll just tell you. Members shall always strive to secure to every person all the individual rights detailed in the Bill of Rights, including but not limited to. Now, okay, sorry, I want to switch back to the page where you can see it because these rights, I want you to see them just in written form, black and white. The right to peacefully assemble, the right of free speech, freedom from unreasonable searches and seizures, the right to due process of the law, freedom from cruel and unusual punishments, and the right to keep and bear arms as clearly established in the Second Amendment and affirmed by the U.S. Supreme Court. Although we place equal emphasis on individual rights protected by the constitutions of the United States and the state of Utah, further clarification shall be given in this section regarding Amendment 2 of the U.S. Constitution. Additional clarification related to other individual rights is provided in other sections of Davis County Sheriff's Office policy. U.S. Constitution Amendment 2, a well-regulated militia. Being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. The Supreme Court of the United States in District of Columbia versus Heller in 2008, the Supreme Court held that the Second Amendment protects an individual right to possess a firearm unconnected with service in a militia and to use that arm for traditionally lawful purposes such as self-defense within the home. So that, you can think of like things like the Castle Doctrine. The United States Constitution, Article 1, Section 6, the individual right of the people to keep and bear arms for security and defense of self, family, others, property, or the state, as well as for other lawful purposes, shall not be infringed, but nothing herein shall prevent the legislature from defining the lawful use of arms. In the Enforcement Amendment here, members shall strive to provide equal protection under the law, recognizing that the individual right to keep and bear arms is a fundamental right that shall not be infringed. Members shall appropriately enforce clearly established laws which do not infringe on individual rights and are narrowly tailored to protect the public interest in reducing violence and helping preserve public peace and order. Members shall not take any action or utilize any county resource to enforce an executive order of the President of the United States or any other federal, state, or local political entity or enforcement agency that has not been affirmed by a vote of Congress. This is it right here. What Biden just passed, this was not affirmed by a vote of Congress. And this is where the big problem is. He's saying that the President of the United States in this policy or of any other federal, state, or local political entity or enforcement agency that has not been affirmed by a vote of the Congress of the United States or of the Utah State Legislature, and which appears to exceed the power of the political entity, violate the Constitution. Yes, it exceeds the power of the political entity. Yes, this is bigger than the President of the United States. So he cannot do that. So he is violating the Constitution. What's new with Biden? Violate the Constitution, so that goes hand in hand. He can't do that. Or inappropriately infringe on a law-abiding citizen's right to keep and bear arms. Members make cooperation with other agencies. Here, this is interesting because the DOJ is going to try to do this and skirt your local sheriff. Okay, but there is an amendment about cooperation with agencies. Members may and are encouraged to cooperate with other local, state, and federal law enforcement officers in the enforcement of clearly established laws which do not infringe. Remember, that is the key phrase. They've said that like 3 times now. That do not infringe on individual rights and are narrowly tailored to protect the public interest in reducing violence, helping preserve public peace and order. Members shall not assist, abet, support, or cooperate with any other local, state, or federal law enforcement officers or agents in the enforcement of any executive order of the President of the United States or of any other federal, state, or local political entity or enforcement agency that has not been affirmed by a vote of Congress, again, affirmed by a vote of Congress of the United States or the Utah State Legislature, and which appears to exceed the power of the political entity, violate the Constitution, or inappropriately infringe on a law-abiding citizen's right to keep and bear arms. Exigent circumstances. Nothing in this policy shall be construed as limiting a member from taking appropriate action in an urgent situation. So that would be a rare, much more rare situation, okay? Right now, the federal government can say urgent could be anything. But we've got to remember, harken back to the days when urgent actually meant a very rare situation. To protect the member or others from threat or violence. Exclusions. This policy does not create, grant, or take away any right not already existent in the constitutions of the United States or state of Utah, nor does it alter, amend, or change any law enacted by a vote of the United States Congress or the Utah State Legislature. So this is their policy. Let me see what it says. I've attached a copy. Okay. This is the Sheriff's Office policy. A clear policy for our Sheriff's Office and Sheriff's Office employees that helps protect our citizens. So even the President of the United States cannot infringe on this. It has to be gone through an act of Congress. That's why Representative Thomas Massie said this is unauthorized. The establishment of this strange, bizarre organization, the Red Flag National Extreme Risk Protection Order Center, it hides behind this cloak of compassion for the mentally ill, but I believe that truly they are going to abuse this immediately. This, in fact, this was established to be abused right off the bat, to be used as, well, we're protecting you from yourselves. But really, in essence, it's a very open-ended type of office. And so I would say, if they come to your door or they try to do these things, this is a violation, at least here where I live, this is a violation of your rights. And if they're breaking HIPAA protocols, stuff like that, to try to obtain your information, that also is unconstitutional. So I just wanted to read this. I think Kelly Sparks, kudos and shout out to the Davis County Sheriff's Office in Utah for actually addressing this pretty darn thoroughly. And I'm sure they had their legal representation kind of comb through this so that it was all on the up and up. Anyway, I just wanted to shout out to them and just kind of a reminder that if you have questions, I would reach out to your sheriff's office and see if you're in a blue city or a blue county. I don't know what the deal is, how that's going to go. But I would say most of the time, if you want any information about what do you do about ATF, what about DOJ, stuff like that, if they are asking questions, if they come to your door, if they give you a call, if they send text, whatever, you have legal protections under the Constitution of the United States. And if you're in a red state, most likely, if you look it up, you'll have a constitution too for that state, which most constitutions seem to mirror the United States Constitution anyway. So I just wanted to shout out to Davis County, Utah, and thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.